Hello everybody. In this video we will try to discuss Dhanishta nakshatra. So Dhanishta nakshatra is a Mars based nakshatra. So if you consider Mars based nakshatras like Mrugashira, Chitra and Dhanishta, all of these form a bridge between an earthy sign and an airy sign. If you see the Mrugashira nakshatra 1-2 padas, you can observe Mrugashira nakshatra 1-2 padas in Taurus and 3-4 padas in Gemini. And Chitra nakshatra 1-2 padas you can observe in Virgo sign, and 3-4 padas you can observe in the Libra sign. So here Chitra is forming a bridge between a Virgo sign and Libra sign. Virgo sign basically is an earthy sign, and then Libra sign is an airy sign. And similarly, you just come to the Capricorn and Aquarius bridge, where Capricorn is an earthy sign and Aquarius is an airy sign. Here our nakshatra, the Dhanishta nakshatra, 1-2 padas are in Capricorn and 3-4 padas are in Aquarius. So it is forming a bridge between the too much practical or to the peak of the earthy sign Capricorn and the peak of the airy sign Aquarius. So clearly Dhanishta nakshatra is one of the very crucial nakshatras, you can say. So every nakshatra basically consists of some stars. Every nakshatra or constellation basically consists of some stars. So Dhanishta nakshatra also consists of some number of stars. The number is 4 basically. So there is a concept called the brightness of a star. So the brightness of a star basically depends upon the visual magnitude of the star. So if the visual magnitude is less, then brightness is more. So there is an inverse relationship between these two parameters, that is visual magnitude and brightness. If one is lower, the another one would be higher. So the brightness of Dhanishta may not be very much greater, but it is okay, it is good, fine. And what is the meaning of Dhanishta basically? Dhanishta means the wealthiest, the most beneficent. So these are the general descriptions of Dhanishta nakshatra. It is also called as Shravishta. So Shravishta means the most heard of, the famous one. The most famous is the meaning of Shravishta. So the name Shravishta implies that Dhanishta forms a pair with the previous nakshatra Shravana. So Shravana and then Shravishta, Shravana, Dhanishta, these two are actually pairs. So Dhanishta, that's why is also called as Shravishta. So all scholars agree on the fact that a musical drum is the main symbol of this particular nakshatra. So however, there is a difference of opinion in regards to the type of musical drum. So is that musical drum is a tabla or is a mridanga, and what is it? So basically this particular musical drum is a damaru, the damaru that Shiva has. Basically it's Shiva's favorite drum. So you can just feel the energy of Dhanishta. Now it's not only saying something related to the wealthiest energy or the most famous energy, it is also saying it is also having the energy of destruction. That is why the Shiva's drum is coming into the picture here. So by symbolizing this particular Dhanishta nakshatra with Shiva's Damaru, you can clearly feel the energy of destruction, because Shiva indicates destruction. So there are three forces in the universe. One is the force of Brahma, that's the force of creation. So if Brahma wants to do creation, he needs knowledge, he needs the divine knowledge. So that is the power. So the divine knowledge power is indicated by Ma Saraswati. So Brahma and Saraswati, the pair. So without Saraswati, Brahma cannot do the creation. And then the maintenance, the power of maintenance is done by Lord Vishnu, basically. So whenever Lord Vishnu wants to do the maintenance, or it's a continuous activity, of course, and he needs basically Lakshmi, the power of money, or it's not just the money. Lakshmi indicates the Ashta Lakshmi. It can be Dhanya Lakshmi, Dhana Lakshmi, Santana Lakshmi. So there are 8 Lakshmis basically. So the 8 Lakshmis basically indicate, means Lord Vishnu needs the 8 Lakshmis in order to maintain the universe, in order to maintain the worldly things, in order to maintain the earth, basically, as we are living on earth. So we talk more about earth. And then the third force is the force of destruction. So destruction is done by Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva does destruction with the help of Ma Parvati, or Ma Shakti, you can say. So without Ma Parvati, you cannot, so Lord Shiva cannot perform destruction. He needs Ma Parvati, he needs Shakti, or you can also say Parvati is a bit furious form is Mahakali. And even you can, if you want to go more deeper, forces of destruction, you can see Dasha Mahavidya also there, right? So whenever you see the Shiva's energy, the energy of destruction comes into the play. So Dhanishta is symbolized by Shiva's drum, the Damaru. So Damaru conveys, if you see the Damaru, it is also used to play music. So it is also, Dhanishta also symbolizes music. So from where the music comes, basically, the music comes basically from the hollowness, right? Without hollowness, you cannot find the music from the Damaru. So inside the Damaru, you have that hollowness. Because of that hollowness, so the music is coming. So it's a rhythmical instrument. Damaru is also called, it's also known as a rhythmical instrument. So if you think in higher planes, this particular rhythmical instrument can be associated with time, and the time is the rhythm of the universe. So this particular nakshatra has this particular quality called as rhythm, maintaining the rhythm of the universe. So in order to maintain the rhythm of the universe, sometimes we need destruction also. That's why people generally think destruction is bad, but when destruction happens, sometimes the universe finds its correct rhythm. So for continuity, destruction is also needed. That is one thing. And another symbol for Dhanishta nakshatra is the flute. Flute is generally played by Lord Sri Krishna. It is also having some rhythm. So the music here is not just the music that you are hearing. it's the music or the rhythm of the universe, you know. So it's a kind of, you can say, celestial music, right? So this celestial music is created by the hollowness of the instrument, whether it is a damaru or a flute, whatever. So that is the symbolism. So Dhanishta, basically it is presided by 8 gods. We generally say Ashtavasus. So Vasu translates into excellent, wealthy, superb, whatever, right? These are the English names you can give, English meanings you can give for Vasu. So the Ashtavasus are Apa, which translates into water. So he is a male deity, usually related to a water goddess, Purvashadha. So you can find here, whenever you talk about Dhanishta, you talk about Ashtavasus, and when you talk about Ashtavasus, various nakshatras are also come into picture. So you can feel Dhanishta nakshatra as an embodiment of different nakshatra energies, right? So it is very difficult to find out the exact behavior of Dhanishta, but the main symbolism is to maintain the rhythm of the universe. So in order to maintain the rhythm of the universe, you need different forces, definitely, right? So Apa is one of the Ashtavasus, and there is another Vasu, that is Dhruva, which translates into the you can say Dhruva means fixed in Sanskrit, and it is related to the pole star at any given point in time. It is always fixed. And another one is Dhara, so which translates into a bearer. So a bearer or stream of water. So the man pouring water from a pot is a general symbolism of Dhara. So just the symbolism of Aquarius. So when you talk about Apa, the first Vasu, right, you talk about Purvashadha, and then suddenly when you talk about Dhara, the third Ashtavasu, you talk about Aquarius more here, right? So just observe various energies are coming into the picture when you talk about Dhanishta nakshatra. And the fourth Ashtavasu is Anila, so which translates into wind. The deity is Vayu, generally the wind god, who is the ruler of Swati nakshatra. So here Swati nakshatra energy is also coming into the picture. And the fifth one is Soma, which translates into the, generally Soma is related to moon, so the moon's energy is also you can find here. So moon deity, the Soma, is, and generally we talk about Soma whenever we talk about Mrugashira nakshatra. So Mrugashira nakshatra energy is also coming to the picture here. And another Ashtavasu is Anala, is the sixth Ashtavasu, that is Anala, which translates into the fire. So the deity is just Anala means the fire, that's Agni. So Agni generally rules Kritika nakshatra. Kritika nakshatra, when you talk about Kritika nakshatra, we talk about fire, Agni, cutting the things and all the stuff, right? So Kritika is coming into the picture because Anala is fire. And the seventh Ashtavasu is Pratyusha, which translates into dawn. So is a male counterpart of Usha, the solar goddess who rides in front of the sun. So this might be the deity which made so many people, musicians. You can find a lot of musicians in the Dhanishta nakshatra, and then you see this Vasu, the Pratyusha Vasu, can be responsible for them to become musicians. So the Pratyusha has this particular Ashtavasu completely defining the Dhanishta influence. So the first rays of the new rising sun, right, that is Pratyusha. And then Prabhasa, which translates into light. This is another solar deity related to the morning time. So there are 8 Vasus, the Ashtavasus. Ashta means 8 basically. Now, as we can see, all these 8 deities carry within them the energies of different nakshatras. This makes Dhanishta a sort of compendium or embodiment of the energies of different other nakshatras. Uh, Specifically we discussed the Purvashada when we talked about Apa, and then when we talked about Anala, we say Kritika, and then um Soma is related to Mrugashira, and uh, you know, and then Anila is wind related to Swati Nakshatra. So like that we talked about different nakshatras. So these 8 Vasus are supposed to be so whenever we talk about Dhanishta Nakshatra, we mainly talk about music and rhythm. So we can find some kind of rhythm in dancing also. So Dhanishta is a kind of, it's related to dancing, but mainly it is related to music, because the Astavasus are supposed to be wealthy and skilled at music. Astavasus are skilled at music. Music is a kind of, it's a celestial music which can, which can create the rhythm of the universe. So just the people who can create the rhythm of the universe with the celestial music, they can obviously, of course, create a very beautiful music on earth. So generally Dhanishta people are related to music, you can say. So this particular nakshatra's mastery over the material plane and relates it with the music, the rhythmical things, the musical functioning is clearly we can see from this particular nakshatra. So the rhythm, whenever we talk about the rhythm, it's the rhythm of the universe, rhythm of the complete universe to to move ahead. So this is probably the reason why a lot of scholars associated the science of astrology with this particular nakshatra, which in a way is understanding the rhythm of the universe. So whenever you talk about rhythm of the universe in different, while discussing different nakshatras, we talk about Dhanishta nakshatra. So Shiva is the ultimate presiding deity of this particular nakshatra. So this can be easily understood from the symbolism that we discussed. And one more thing is, this particular nakshatra, half of this nakshatra, the 1-2 padas are in Capricorn and 3-4 padas are in Aquarius. So when you talk about Capricorn, you talk about Lord Vishnu, and whenever you talk about Aquarius, you talk about Lord Shiva, right? So half is Lord Vishnu, half Lord Shiva. So we also talk about Lord Ayyappa whenever we talk about this nakshatra, because this nakshatra is half Lord Vishnu and half Lord Shiva. The Aquarius part is actually the 3-4 padas mainly related to Shiva, and the 1-2 padas of this nakshatra mainly related to Lord Vishnu. And of course, Aquarius is a sign which is completely under the control of Lord Shiva. So ancient scriptures are full of stories of Shiva's immense musical ability, right? So music, we talk about music, rhythm, Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, right? These are the different energies coming into the picture. And also wealth, we talk about wealth, luck. Shiva, even while creating some kind of destruction, he does the destruction in a graceful manner with a rhythmical dance, right? And the rhythmical dance of Lord Shiva is known as Tandava. So of course you can also see it is exemplified with the famous Nataraja posture. So in fact, the two of the main Indian classical forms originate directly from Lord Shiva, right? So people say they created by Lord Shiva. So in a way this nakshatra can be seen as so this is a nakshatra with Vishnu's energy and Shiva's energy also, as we discussed previously. So the half Vishnu, half Shiva, right? You can see this kind of idols in some temples in India. So Vishnu relates to its mastery of the material world, and Shiva relates to the musical aspect and also the destruction part of this particular nakshatra. So much of the nature of this nakshatra can be derived from the nature and qualities of the Astavasus we discussed so far. That is, so from Apa it derives its musical ability, confidence, invincibility, such kind of. So if you see the behavior of Apa, that is water, you can see whenever there is a water flow, you can clearly see the energies present in that water flow. You can see a kind of musical ability of the water. So when water is flowing, you can clearly listen to it. It delivers some kind of music, right? There's a kind of celestial music, you can say. And also the water flows with an energy of confidence. You can find some confidence in water flow, a kind of invincibility, also a kind of warrior like disposition, right? Whenever water flows, you can clearly sense these energies there. So in its negative aspect, it can manifest as a kind of vanity also. So this can sometimes lead this particular nakshatra to beat its own drum. So the negative aspect of Apa, right? So is a kind of a drawback for this nakshatra. We'll talk more about the nakshatra's drawbacks in the next video, of course, but we just try to discuss the Astavasus here. So from Dhruva, it derives the fixed part of its nature, right, which relates to its reliability. So whenever someone is very much fixed to something, we generally we rely on that person, we believe that person. So there is a kind of there's a kind of reliability there, there's a kind of believability. So when someone is very much fixed to something, he may have some kind of organizational ability also. So from Dhruva, this particular nakshatra can derive the qualities of believability, organizational ability. But in the negative aspects, it also manifests to some kind of stubbornness, right? So fixing to something. So Dhanishta natives do not like to be told what to do. That is a major drawback of Dhanishta energy people. So whether Dhanishta ascendant or Dhanishta moon or a very prominent planet sitting in Dhanishta, the people may not want to be told what to do, especially when a fourth cusp is joining. This fourth cusp is in Dhanishta. You can see this kind of qualities, right? Fourth cusp is the fourth house. Generally, it shows the mind. Fourth house, it is not only about your mother properties, the house that you're living in, but it is also a factor deciding your thoughts, the emotional happiness also, right? So the third Astavasu, if you see the Dhara, it derives wisdom, charitable nature, and conversational ability, right? So in its negative aspect, it makes one a chatterbox, or having a tendency to disperse their energies in unconstructive and a kind of unwholesome ways. So every energy has some kind of positive thing associated with it and a negative thing associated with it, right? So from Anila, this particular nakshatra derives its business abilities. So the resourcefulness and motivation to accomplish things, and from the same anila energy, it can also have the negative, in a negative aspect, the same thing can manifest. uh, you know it can make oneself seeking or generally worried about the simple things also, right? And from anala it derives its energy like mental stability, right? And also kind of uh, in its negative aspect, this particular anala can give a bad tempered, and when people have bad temper, they may hurt others very easily, right? So that is, so there are some mixture of qualities that this nakshatra may have. It seems very generic, right? When you talk about someone is having multiple qualities, it seems you're talking about all the other nakshatras also here. So the discussion may seem very generic. From pratyusha, if you observe it, it derives its radiance, happiness, joy, and hopefulness, because pratyusha is all about the hopefulness. So this particular nature expresses unbounded joyfulness, you know. So you can find some Dhanishta people, they are very much, they look like sunshine, right? Very bright. So it's this pratyusha always gives all positive things, the music, dancing, whatever. So whenever Dhanishta uh, people have this kind of pratyusha energy, then they are very good dancers, and also they can become very good musicians. So from prabhasa it derives its lightheartedness, purity, good nature, and a kind of having some good aspirations. And from soma, mrigashira energy, it derives it has that gentleness and sensitivity, uh, but sometimes the same gentleness and softness can manifest into a kind of fickleness, a kind of deceptiveness, or extreme indulgence also. So you can clearly see this particular nakshatra as an embodiment of different energies. Mainly we talk about the rhythm, the music, the wealthiness, the luck, right? And also there is a half Vishnu energy and half Shiva's energy present here. Mainly the whole energies, there are some mixture of energies. All these energies basically they work on maintaining the universal rhythm, right? So Dhanishta is all about, all these things are materialistic basically. We mainly talk about the materialistic things, but this also has the capacity to maintain the universal rhythm. The universal rhythm is, it seems to be a kind of spiritual thing, but the whole thing is materialistic, of course. So it's all about living a good life. So it's not easy to put the Dhanishta personality in a box, because it has 8 Vasus ruling here. So it has many diverse aspects to its nature, making it one of the most expressive among all the nakshatras, you can say. So it has an ability to adapt itself to any situation in which it finds itself, because it has different energies embedded in it. So Dhanishta people generally they can accommodate themselves in different scenarios, we can say. So those born with this particular Dhanishta ascendant, right, whether it is Capricorn ascendant or Aquarius ascendant, especially in the Dhanishta nakshatra ascendant, they generally carry a kind of rich, liberal, radiant expression on their faces. So they have some kind of they express a kind of confidence, a kind of nobility, some kind of nobility, and also they have a peculiar captivating smile you can observe. So uh, they feel a kind of the smile includes a kind of deep satisfaction at some inner level, at some inner point. So in some cases they can have a kind of roving eyes also. So they are good conversationalists basically. Dhanishta people, Dhanishta natives can always put the other person at ease very quickly. They can make others talk very easily. So this will hold more true of those natives who are born under the Aquarius part, because Aquarius is all about, social nature, right? The Capricorn part, if you observe, has a more worldly orientation, and it lacks in the more refined and divine aspects, you can say. So all those who have Dhanishta energy having in their chart, one way or the other, have a good sense of rhythm, good sense of music sense, good sense of music, and they enjoy music, they enjoy dance. So it is very easy for them to excel in these fields like music, dance, right? So Dhanishta natives tend to be good at sports also, because sports need a kind of rhythm, right, and a kind of timing. So Dhanishta people have excellent timing. Uh, so for field athletics and also ball games, gymnastics, you need to have a lot of rhythm. So gymnastics is one good example here, right? So where grace is very much required, the rhythm is required. Of course, for dance also a kind of rhythm is required. So this is a kind of, generally it is a kind of social nakshatra. Of course, the Aquarius part is more social compared to the Capricorn part. So this social nakshatra, so they like to be in groups. So it's not a loner, and it likes to mingle with people, of course. So it is naturally ambitious and is always conscious of its dharma, of course. So it very rarely shows escapist tendencies, because it's a hopeful nakshatra. So they always hope for something better, right? So it would so generally they confront things which can make it appear a kind of argumentative, but whenever somebody is having a hope of doing something better, so they may try to argue also, right? So that is one of the important things. When you see moon in Dhanishta nakshatra, so the person concerned often goes for mates or partners who are very different in personality and outlook to them. So this obviously leads to a lot of conflict in these issues. So this can be seen to be most true when moon occupies the Capricorn part of this particular nakshatra compared to the Aquarius part. So a lot of scholars are unanimous regarding the peculiar property of this particular nakshatra in promoting marital discord, because it's a Mars nakshatra. So since this nakshatra carries so many good qualities, such a thing does not make sense straight away. So in our view, the Martian aspect of this particular nakshatra is responsible for this particular problem. Mainly, we also try to talk about Lord Rama, who is having the Cancer ascendant, but at the same time, if you see his seventh cusp is falling in Dhanishta nakshatra, so his marital life has some kind of ups and downs. We'll talk about that in a minute. So Mars is regarded as the most unfavorable planet for marital harmony, and Mars is a ruler of Dhanishta nakshatra, So once again, the Capricorn, the Capricorn part of this particular nakshatra has more problems in marital life as compared to the Aquarius part. So this is simply because Aquarius has a more accommodating nature compared to the Capricorn. So Capricorn part of Dhanishta nakshatra is not at all good for marital affairs. So these marital difficulties are usually enhanced when Mars, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, right, these kind of malefic planets, whenever they are placed in the Capricorn part of Dhanishta, so the marital problems you can clearly see, especially the Capricorn part, that is Dhanishta 1-2 padas. So in the Dhanishta 1-2 padas, if you find natural malefics like Mars, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, then most probably there would be some kind of marital disturbances. So if this placement has some connection with the 7th house especially, right, so it might be impossible for such a person to have a smooth married life, because 7th house related to marriage, and in the 7th house, the 7th cusp is falling in Dhanishta 1-2, and especially there you can see Saturn, Rahu or Ketu or Mars. So there would be some problems in the marriage life. So most Cancer ascendants whose ascendant is falling within 1640, that is 16 degree 40 minutes to 30 degrees, so have difficulty in married life, or sometimes don't marry at all. So this is because Dhanishta falls on the 7th house cusp basically, right, whenever your ascendant is in Cancer 1640 to 30 degrees. So obviously your 7th house falls in Dhanishta 1-2 Capricorn part. So those under the strong negative influence of the Capricorn part of Dhanishta often end up hating the opposite sex also. So Rama, one of Vishnu's avatars, you can see hero of Ramayana, who is regarded as best god. He is very good in his the epitome of good conduct, you can say, and also righteousness, faced numerous problems in his married life, because in his chart Mars is placed in the Capricorn part of Dhanishta in the 7th house. So he had to fight a big war to rescue his kidnapped wife Sita, and even after things returned to normal, right, he had to abandon her on due to some kind of problems, right. So you can clearly read this one from the epic Ramayana. So Dhanishta always has the ability to tune into some source. That is one of the good qualities. So the most important aspect of this is the source it tunes itself into, right, to which source it is actually tuning into. So in the present day world, where media acts as the primary influence for different groups of people and provides them with some kind of degenerating standards of culture, music, or anything, dance or fine arts, or you know, so most Dhanishta kinds find themselves tuning into these bad influences also. So this is the reason why the higher expressions of this particular nakshatra, so which come about by direct tuning with the universal mind, are very much rare nowadays. So nowadays these Dhanishta people, they tune into some source very easily. So you may find them in some kind of wrong things also. So this is because they can directly very easily accommodate to the source. So if you see in the universal, if you think in higher plane, Dhanishta relates to the power to give fame and abundance. So whatever may be the whoever may be the person, whether he's in a bad situation or in a good situation, like he may be poor or he may be rich, but Dhanishta people generally, on a general note, people say they get luck at some point of time. They generally get fame and abundance at some point of time. So definitely this particular right, so there is a positive aspect of this nakshatra for sure. So Dhanishta can be seen as the zenith of worldly achievements, because they easily get luck at some point of time. So one more thing is, it goes without this particular worldly achievement. So it doesn't go without, means these people doesn't, they do not leave, they do not leave their life, means they definitely get some kind of worldly achievement at some point of time. This is also this is more true in the case of Capricorn, I say, because Capricorn is all about worldly achievements. So they cannot skip the life without worldly achievements, the Capricorn part of Dhanishta. But at the same time, you can see the Capricorn part of Dhanishta is not so good for marital affairs, right? Directly when it is associated with the 7th house. So that is about Dhanishta nakshatra. We'll talk more about this in our next video. Thanks for watching this video.